What's going on, guys? Welcome back to #AskGSM here today for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. This is episode 643 here today. Hope you guys are doing well, having a great week. I'm super stoked for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 dropping tonight. That's not for another several hours, but here today answering your questions from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the usual stuff. I appreciate you guys joining us either live or after the fact. If you are joining us live, drop a comment, question in the chat to be answered here on the video today. Typically, I schedule the video ahead of time so we can get some stuff in ahead of time before we hit live. Didn't have a chance to do that today. We're just going live around noon, so I appreciate all the support nonetheless. Whether you are watching live or after the fact, thank you for being here. Always means a lot. We'll get to the housekeeping stuff real quick before we get into the usual questions. Want to shout out the channel members: Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel Malcolm at I'm Quarter on X, DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland right here on YouTube, Richie as well right here on YouTube, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube, Average Grunt at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. More information on how to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member down below in the description box. You can also find me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. Tweet me there with your questions at #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, include your question down below in the comment section on this very video after we're done being live, and I'll include your question in next week's edition. Also, if you want to be sure to like this video and comment, not only just comment, but subscribe as well. All that support is greatly appreciated. By hitting the notification button, you will be notified every time we upload new content and go live here on the channel, typically Tuesdays and Thursdays for #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio, respectively. We'll be back live here on YouTube on Thursday with Mr. Marceau, breaking down all the latest in the world of wrestling as we always do. And then in addition to #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio next week, what I'm thinking is, and I said this last week here on #I believe, that I'm thinking of doing next Wednesday a live watch-along, which we have not done since we did the 2016 watch-along of the Royal Rumble back in late January, which was a lot of fun. I'm thinking of doing another one for WrestleMania 17 coming up next Wednesday. Next Wednesday marks the exact 25-year anniversary of WrestleMania 17. So I'm thinking of doing that. Keep an eye out for that next Wednesday here on the channel. It is something I'm considering, so keep an eye out for that. And hopefully you can join us live or just watch after the fact. So we'll get to the questions here in just a few minutes. Just give me 1 second to pull up the questions here on the side. Boom. All right, so you see there all the questions that were sent in ahead of time. We'll get into these now. From Nike Fan 01, he asks from YouTube, what are 3 booking scenarios Triple H could do that would ruin WrestleMania 42? I mean, there's really any number of things Triple H could do to ruin the WrestleMania. We've seen plenty of those decisions in recent years made at WrestleMania. But that being said, I would think Brock beating Oba isn't worst case scenario. I can easily see him avenging that loss at SummerSlam and going back to that match at some point down the road. But if he wants to easily ruin WrestleMania, that would be one way to do it. So not ruin WrestleMania, but at least hinder it. I don't think Oba beating Brock really isn't that big of a deal as far as, like, it's not going to kill Brock. I don't really see what the harm would be in having Oba beat Brock. Brock beating Oba, I think, would just be dumb. People have tried to convince me that it would humble Oba in storyline. He can avenge the loss at SummerSlam. I just think that would be stupid. I just think that'd be fucking dumb. So I hope that doesn't happen. He also asked, or also, I guess in addition to that, before we get to the next question, as far as other things that would ruin WrestleMania this year, I don't know. I mean, more bloodline nonsense with the Usos reuniting with Roman Reigns. We're kind of already seeing that on Raw right now. I just think that'd be fucking dumb. I really personally have no interest in seeing that, so Roman Reigns winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Cody Rhodes winning, I don't think it's worst case scenario, but it's not exactly ideal to have Cody Rhodes beat Randy Orton, who just went heel and has all this momentum right now. I think that would just be stupid. So I wouldn't do that either. But Yeah, that's an option as well. So, I mean, there's plenty of ways to ruin this WrestleMania. I'm hoping because the build to this show has been so incredibly inconsistent that it ends up exceeding expectations. There are several matches on this show that have had very either weak build, no build, rushed build, whatever it might be. And the show could still end up being, specifically from an in-ring standpoint, a very strong show. So I hope so. I hope it ends up being a good show, but we'll just have to wait and see. Nike fan also asked, what are your top 5 favorite heel turns in WWE history? I mean, I don't know if I have a top 5 necessarily, but the Cena heel turn in a nutshell was great. The Cena heel run was awful. I mean, the way that the Cena heel turn was executed was great. It was excellent. The only issue was that it just wasn't necessary. There was no real reason to have John Cena be a heel for his final year. It was just a dumb thing to do. So the turn itself was great, so I might put that one up there. I wasn't really in full favor of them even doing that going into the heel turn. I just didn't really think it made sense. But the execution of the turn would probably put it in the top 5. The Seth Rollins heel turn, I mentioned this a lot. We did a whole video about it a while ago as far as Rollins turning heel on the Shield back in 2014. I thought that was a tremendous moment. I thought it was really well done. And that was just something I thought that was so perfectly done because it made me want to hate Seth Rollins. It was on my birthday, and I was so fucking pissed that they had done that. That they broke up the Shield in the way that they did. I just felt like there were so many better ways they could have done what they did. And I was so pissed. So I still think that was a great... I still think that was a great heel turn. And, I mean, they broke up the Shield prematurely, mind you, but even just the execution of it was just excellent. So I would probably include that one as well. Give me a second here. I lost my comments. All right, there we go. Other favorite heel turns that come to mind. CM Punk when he turned on The Rock back in 2012. I always thought that one was really good. I enjoyed that. So him turning on The Rock I thought was fine. There's not a lot of other heel turns that come to mind, to be perfectly honest with you. Those are just the major ones. Trying to think, in my time as a fan anyway. I mean, you could go like Hogan heel turn, but that wasn't really something I was around for, you know. Other heel turns from my time as a fan. I'm trying to think. Other great heel turns. I'm trying to remember. I mean, 2013, 2014, 15... Other great heel turns. I don't really know. I would say the Cena one is up there. The Rollins one is up there. Punk's heel turn from 2012. I always thought that was well done. His heel turn in 09. His slow burn heel turn in 09 when he was feuding with Jeff Hardy, I thought was really well done. And the feud they had over the World Heavyweight Championship that summer, I thought was great. But other great heel, I mean, there's been great heel runs, but heel turns, I mean, I don't know. There's plenty, I'm sure, that come to mind. It's not really a heel turn, but Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho for the Festival of Friendship. They were both already heels. That was more of a face turn for Jericho than anything. But I thought that was great. I thought that was an excellent heel, not really a heel turn, but more of a betrayal. So I don't know if I can come up with a fifth one. I would probably really have to think about it, though, because there's plenty that would come to mind. But anyway, I'll have to think about it some more, and I'll get back to you. Anyway, next question that comes up here. Hold on. Computer keeps botching, so I keep losing all the questions. Hold on. Next question. Should WWE turn Maxine heel and put her in the Vision? No. The answer is a hard no. Putting Maxine in the Vision would just be fucking stupid. Nothing really to gain there, I would say. I know they had teased it last week backstage on Raw, but I just think that would be dumb. I don't think there's anything really to gain from putting Maxine Dupree in the Vision. So I wouldn't do that. I'm not even really sure what would be accomplished from doing that. I mean, I guess you get Maxine in a more prominent role on the show, aligning with a heel stable. I just wouldn't do that. So, no, I think that'd be stupid. Grunt, I do see you in the chat. What's going on, brother? I also saw a question from Vontel Blitz. Richie, what's going on, brother? Yeah, I don't know where everyone is. I don't know. Everyone's, I think the stream, I don't know, fucked up or something, but it's not showing up on my end. But I'll pull up the questions here. I'll pull up the comments in a couple minutes. Not that there's a ton of them, but we'll get to the questions here in a few minutes. I am doing well, Richie. Thank you for asking, though. We said, what's going on? Big Dog GSM. Doing well, my man. Doing well. Grunt, I see you waving as well. What's going on, my man? Vontel, we'll get to your comment in a little bit after we get through the... I don't want to go back and forth between these questions and the chat. I will keep the chat open, but I will put them here on the screen in a little bit. But anyway, Jordan B's question from YouTube: what were your thoughts on Mick Foley's run in TNA? I thought it was fine. I actually started watching TNA around that time when Mick Foley was brought in, so I actually watched his entire TNA tenure. I mean, I didn't watch a whole lot of his matches on the pay-per-views. I was only really watching what he was doing on Impact from week to week, and it didn't really last that long. Mick Foley's TNA tenure was only about 2 years, and even then he wasn't full-time throughout those 2 years. He took some time off after late 2010, came back very briefly in 2011, and then quit the company, and then he was back in WWE by the end of 2011. So for the time that he was there, I mean, it had some fine moments. He wrestled a lot more than he probably should have because I think WWE wouldn't let him wrestle, so he went to TNA and faced fucking Sting. He won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, which is kind of crazy in retrospect. Yeah, I thought it was fine. He made the most of it. His time as an authority figure I thought was enjoyable, a lot like it was in WWE. But like the matches, a lot of the shit that he was doing at that point just wasn't interesting. Like him feuding with Abyss, I could see why they did it because like the similarities between Mankind and Abyss, I get it. But by that point, Mick Foley was just so fucking beat up in the ring, it just wasn't really worth it, I would say. Lily Reynolds from Twitter asked, will we get Nia Jax and Lash Legend versus Charlotte and Alexa and the Bella Twins at WrestleMania for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles? We will, but I think we will also get the addition of Bayley and Lyra, as I think we should. It should at least be a four-way. If you want to include another team, I don't know what team that would be. The Kabuki Warriors, I would say no, simply being that the Asuka Io match looks likely for WrestleMania 42, so I would not put the Kabuki Warriors in that four-way for the tag team titles. I mean, I guess you could put Chelsea Green and Alba Fire in there. I don't have any interest in that. Kiana James and Julia. Julia might be doing something on her own with the Women's United States Championship, so I wouldn't say that either. Yeah, I would probably just keep it to those four teams. I think the build to that match at Mania has been fucking awful. They did the Irresistible Forces versus Charlotte and Alexa and then the Bella Twins, and both matches ended in interference, disqualification finishes, which is just terrible. So bad. But the four-way makes sense. It gets Bayley and Lyra on the show. They're actually challenging the Irresistible Forces for the tag team titles next week on Raw. And they'll probably do another DQ finish on that show too. So not exactly a fan. But yes, I do think we will get a multi-team match for the tag team titles of WrestleMania. At Uwagu91, let me just adjust my camera here so you guys can see all of the remaining questions. Let's see. At Uwagu91 asked, my thoughts on Mystico being all elite. I think Mystico is great. I think Mystico is excellent. Obviously he was the original Mystico back in the day, or the original Sin Cara in WWE. He was only there for a few years, went back to Mexico, and I think AAA, maybe just CMLL, I'm not sure. But from what I've seen of his work in the last few years in MLW and other companies like that, now AEW, the guy's awesome. And I'm really glad that he has a dual contract with both companies. Now he's also 1/3 of the fucking Trios champions. I didn't think they would do that because he's currently working for CMLL, and typically they don't put their belts on people that don't work for their company. But they did just that with Mystico, and he's 1/3 of the Trios champions, which is cool. So, yeah, big fan of Mystico. I think the guy is great. I'm glad he is all elite or partially elite, what have you. But, yeah, I'm glad he's in AEW and doing his thing, and I think him and Jetspeed have some great chemistry as the Trios champions. How often he'll be popping up, I'm not sure. I know they just had a title defense on Collision over the weekend, 1 week after winning the titles, which was cool. I don't know how often he's going to be popping up going forward, but I guess only time will tell. At Iwagu's next question, at Iwagu91, said, did you know that Grand Metalik, there was currently just Metalik, was the original Mascara Dorada before the one we see right now to take up the mantle? I did know that was the original Mascara Dorada because that's what he was called in WWE, right? Wasn't he Mascara Dorada in WWE? And maybe not. Maybe he was just Grand Metalik. But yes, I'm well aware that that Grand Metalik in WWE was at one point Mascara Dorado. Maybe I'm thinking of Lindsay Dorado, but I am well aware that he was under that name at one point. I think he's just now Metalik. He changed his name, and now the Mascara Dorado that we have in AEW is a completely different performer. They're both very good, though. Next question, also from at Uwagu91. My thoughts on Kendall Gray being on NXT full-time after wrapping up with Evolve and vacating the Evolve Women's Championship. I think that's cool. I would rather her have lost the Evolve Women's Championship. I don't really think that it was necessary to just have her vacate it like she was fucking Obafemi. Like, even Obafemi vacating the NXT Championship, I thought was dumb. I thought that was really stupid. Not a fan of how they did that. I think they just could have been handled a lot better. But even with Kendall Gray, I don't really think she needs to be protected to the point where she should be vacating championships. And like Jackson Drake, the Evolve Men's Champion, was going to do the same thing. He actually ended up getting beat for that belt on last week's Evolve episode. Not that I watched the show, but I had seen the highlights on Twitter or whatever. So regardless, Kendall Gray being on NXT full-time makes sense. She's already really, really good. She's over. People like her. I think that bodes well for her chances of winning the NXT Women's Championship from JC Jane and Stand and Deliver. That show's coming up fucking next weekend, so they have a very quick turnaround to determining her, to like naming her the number one contender to that title. But that's what I would do. I would probably just put the belt on her, because if it's not her at this point, I'm not really sure who else it would be. At JMacBailey from Twitter asked, I know this is random, but if you were Disney and see that CM Punk and Roman Reigns are main eventing WrestleMania, would you create an explosion of the Zebros merchandise? Also, would you buy the merchandise? I might buy the merchandise depending on how cool it is. I actually just watched Zootopia 2 like a week or two ago, and it was a very good movie, as the first one was. But if I was Disney, sure, I would do more Zebros merchandise. I feel like they were a popular pair of characters from that movie, albeit, a few months ago. It came out months ago at this point, but I think doing more Zebros stuff would be smart. WWE and Disney have no reason to do more Zebros stuff or even mention it, really, because they don't work with Disney. I mean, they work with ESPN, which is owned by Disney, and I've seen Disney promote WWE's PLEs like WrestleMania, WrestleMania is coming up. So honestly, you know what? Maybe they do stand to gain something from doing more Zebro shit. I don't know, but I don't really have an issue with them not mentioning it. They mentioned it like a few months ago in their original encounter when they went face-to-face on the mic to Punk and Roman. But beyond that, there's really no reason to continue bringing it up. But more Zebros merchandise wouldn't be bad on Disney's end. Millennial Noob, just give me 1 second here. Millennial Noob said, with all the titles Mercedes Moné is losing, do you think there's a chance she's coming back to AEW and challenging Thekla for the AEW Women's World title? I could see it. I would prefer Mercedes come back as a heel. I think she works a lot better as a heel than as a babyface. But that would make sense. I mean, for a while, people had said it would make sense. It would make sense for her to beat Toni Storm to have finally won the AEW Women's World Championship. Toni's the only woman that I think has beaten Mercedes. Actually, that's not true. No, I think it might be true. She might be the only woman that has beaten Mercedes in AEW that didn't get, that Mercedes didn't beat at another point. So, for example, Mercedes has beaten Chris Statlander. Statlander has beaten Mercedes, but Mercedes beat her twice before in late 2024. Alex Windsor beat Mercedes Moné in AEW for one of the championships that she had held a few months ago. But Mercedes had previously beaten Windsor to retain the TBS championship a few months prior to that. So I think Toni might be the only one under an AEW contract that has beaten Mercedes in AEW that Mercedes has not beaten herself, unless it was in a tag team match or something, and I'm just not remembering. So, but that's not going to happen. The current report is that Toni's out for the rest of the year, non-injury related, which is interesting because she was at the big event this past weekend. I was there this past weekend. Toni Storm was there taking pictures with people. And, she didn't look hurt. People have speculated she could be pregnant, very possible. But regardless, I think Mercedes coming back and challenging Thekla would make sense. Her facing Willow upon her return would be fine, but Willow would have to beat her again. If they want to start that chase for Mercedes becoming AEW Women's World Champion, that honestly might be it. We haven't seen Moné and Thekla yet. I don't really know what else he would do with Mercedes when she comes back. I mean, Statlander's out of the title picture. There's no real reason to run that back for a fourth time right now. Her and Willow again, I wouldn't do that right now either. I don't want Mercedes to win back the TBS championship. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else would make sense for her to work with. Probably Thekla, because they haven't done that match yet. They could use, now that Toni Storm is out, they could use a top babyface in that division, and it might just be Mercedes. So honestly, you might be onto something there. I don't know if I would be against it or for it, but it would make sense. And time will tell as to whether they go in that direction or not. And last question, at Ope Three-Way, whose podcast they will be on tomorrow night, actually. They asked, what do you make of the rumor that Hiromu Takahashi will be signing with WWE? If he's in, which floor does he start on, and what is his ceiling? My fear is that his character is too weird or too different for WWE fans. I'm really excited. I mean, honestly, I am very skeptical as well in the sense that he's a New Japan talent. WWE's handling of certain New Japan talents is very fucking hit or miss. They will have certain talents reach a certain ceiling or they'll exceed expectations. Other talents from that company that come into WWE don't do well at all. And WWE only does so much for them. Like a Kushida, who I think is great, had a certain ceiling in that company, it seemed, at that time. Takahashi, I doubt he becomes a massive star in WWE. I mean, him going to NXT first would make sense. He's a great wrestler. I don't know how old he is at this point. He's had a slew of injuries, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like he's coming in 5-10 years ago when he was really in his prime. He's coming in now when he's towards the end of his career. I don't know if he would do the dumb cat thing. The cat thing never really meant much to me personally. I think the cat shit is stupid. But it was over in Japan, so maybe they try to do it in NXT or on the main roster or whatever. I think him going to NXT first would be great. I honestly don't really know how far he gets, though, because I only think he is very, very good, but he is older now. He might be injury prone. I just don't know really what you do with the guy beyond. Like, I don't think he's a guy that you build the entire brand around as NXT champion. But at the same time, if he were to go to AEW, he would probably be lost in the shuffle there as well. So there's only so many places he can go on a major level. And him in WWE, I never thought it would happen. I am curious to see what that looks like, and I'm willing to give it a chance. Is it too weird or too different for WWE fans? It might be. If he's doing the dumb cat thing, then probably. I'm not sure if that's going to get over. Knowing the NXT fans, it probably would. If he were to ever go to the main roster, which I'm honestly not expecting, I don't really see that happening either. I don't really see him, getting over as this massive star in the main roster and the cat thing becoming a favorite among fans, but we'll see. I think the guy's a good worker. I'm curious to see what he does. I think he can have a good NXT run if they use him well, and there's no guarantee that's going to happen. I'm more excited for him than Evil, who's I honestly don't really give a shit about, but we'll see what he can bring to the NXT talent pool. And honestly, NXT's talent pool with the men right now is so fucking shallow. Like, it's not deep at all. They have Ethan Page, they have Ricky Saints, Joe Hendry. The well runs dry beyond some of those names. Miles Bourne is promising. Tony D'Angelo at this point is kind of hard to give a shit about. That's really about it. There's really not many other people, I would say, that would make sense as top stars in that brand. So maybe having such an opening, even though he's probably getting paid shit, Takahashi going to NXT now would probably make sense. They might have more room for him to grow on NXT television because they called everyone else up, like a Javon and Obafemi, Trick Williams. They're already on the main roster. And they have plenty of room for new incoming talent for the men anyway. The NXT's women's division is stacked. For the men, Takahashi could take one of those spots and ideally do well. I am not holding my breath. I honestly don't expect them to be overly successful, but I am excited to see what it looks like because the guy is he's good. I enjoy Takahashi, and I am curious to see what he can bring to the NXT talent pool, like I said. So we'll bring up the chat one more time before we probably head on out of here because there's not a whole lot of questions or comments coming in. Let me see. Let me pull up the... where's the fucking chat? There's the chat. Okay, cool. Grunt, what's going on, brother? I mentioned you earlier. Vontel Blitz, you had mentioned earlier. SmackDown's women's roster being full of heels with only 3 faces, one of them being Tiffany Stratton, who you later corrected yourself saying is an awful face, is hilarious. Yeah, I guess you're saying that because they just turned B-Fab and Michin. Honestly, I think that's more indicative than anything that they're bringing up Sol Ruca to SmackDown. That division could use a Sol Ruca. And a lot of the women you're probably referring to don't even really wrestle that much. I mean, you have Nikki Cross, who I guess is a babyface, but never fucking wrestles. Zelina Vega, I mean, she barely wrestles at this point. She's only had like 1 match in the last 6 months. B-Fab, Michin are jobbers on the heel side. On the babyface side, they have Tiffany, who you said is an awful babyface. And then I guess Charlotte and Alexa. I guess that's it. They're going to need more babyfaces in that roster. Sol Ruca would make sense. I would bring on over someone from Raw as well. And maybe even call up a Jada Parker. I would not call up Blake Monroe because she's a heel. at least not to SmackDown. And I guess they kind of have Rhea right now. I mean, Bianca should be back at some point. We don't know what the fuck is her status, so. But they technically have Rhea because Rhea's challenging Jade for the championship, so. I mean, there is Rhea they could use for the time being. Richie had said, what storylines do I think have been the best on the road to WrestleMania? Second, would you put NXT stories over what's going on currently for the main roster? That's a good question. What storylines do I think have been the best on the road to Mania so far this year? Punk and Roman's been very good overall. I mean, I actually really like last night's segment. I thought it was better than last week. Last week I thought just was fucking... I mean, the segment overall was good. But the ending with the whole old, insult thing that we mentioned last week here on the show was just fucking lame. I thought last night's segment was really good. Cody and Randy just got started. Jade and Rhea has done nothing for me. I mean, I literally said this before they made the match, but I just don't give a fuck about that as a match. They have no history to really play off of. There's no story there. It's not a sexy match on paper. It's a big match because they're both big stars, but I never looked at that match as being a dream match. I just never did. And I'm kind of being proven correct. Now, I did say when the match was made official, the only thing that would make it interesting is if they really played into the shit-talking aspect on Twitter, and they completely moved away from that as soon as it happened a few weeks ago, and there's been nothing interesting about that feud since. Now, B-Fab and Meechin joining Jade, I think is cool, as their new baddies or whatever. I like that. But otherwise, the feud is pretty fucking dry, and it just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Also, speaking of the SmackDown Women's Division and the heel shit, I would turn Chelsea Green babyface, by the way. She's already over anyway. People like Chelsea. I guess she's hurt at the moment, but when she's ready to turn face and ready to come back to the ring, turn her face. I feel like that would make sense. But anyway, yeah, I would say for best storylines in the road to Mania, Finn and Dom has been, basic storytelling, but it's been good from what we've seen of it so far. The women's tag team division stuff has been very, very fucking basic. That's really not been overly interesting. Obafemi and Brock, it's only been a week, but what we've gotten so far has been great. For best, I would say Punk and Roman, just because we've seen the most of it. I mean, Stephanie and Liv has actually been better than I thought it would be. The brawl last night was well done. The vignettes they've cut on each other the promos they've cut on each other have been pretty good. Liv choosing Stephanie the way that she did was pretty disappointing or underwhelming a few weeks ago. But otherwise, the feud's been, kind of underrated. I feel like the stuff they've done has been pretty good. So, is what they're doing in NXT better than what they're doing in the main roster? I would say no. NXT has been fine. There really is nothing must-see about NXT right now. It's not a bad show. NXT was way worse during the NXT 2.0 days. That was just fucking garbage. But it was almost so bad that you had to see it for it to be believed. Currently, NXT's just kind of boring. Stand and Deliver's coming up next weekend. There's nothing really must-see about that show. Sol Ruka and Zarya, which we talked about a week or two ago here on the show. That feels like a big deal because they've been building towards it for so long. But, I don't know. I mean, are they doing a four-way for the NXT Championship? They got to make a lot of matches official tonight. The show's coming up next fucking weekend. So, what's the North American title situation? Miles Bourne, I think he's good. The NXT situation, NXT Championship situation for the men's title has been good. Not great, but good. Tag titles are just kind of there. What's the women's North American title scene looking like right now? Blake Monroe lost it to Thea, who lost it to Izzy. I like Tatum. So I like what they're doing with her. But for the most part, NXT is just kind of a show. There really is nothing overly interesting about it. I would say I enjoy and look forward more to, at least on Raw than SmackDown. But I look forward more to the main roster stuff on the road to WrestleMania right now than NXT, which isn't bad, but it's not overly interesting, and no one's really talking about it either. Richie also said, lastly, is there a case to be made for Stand and Deliver to get the boot and to have an NXT title or two be defended on WrestleMania if WWE truly touts it as a third brand and not developmental? In 2026, no. 10 years ago, yes. I had made the case for a few years, defend the NXT Championship at WrestleMania. The closest that we ever came to that was Rhea Ripley defending the NXT Women's Championship in Mania, which was awesome. I mean, her Charlotte winning was fucking stupid, but the match was great, and I thought that was really cool. But no, at this point, I mean, honestly, there's already so many people that probably won't be on Mania, because the roster is as stacked as it is on the main roster. There's only so many spots. I would not devote one of those matches to NXT. NXT, to me, has probably never been colder than it is right now. I mean, again, it's not a bad show, but I've never seen this few amount of people talk about what is going on NXT, probably since the NXT redemption days of like 2012. Other than that, I have seen so few people watch or pay attention to NXT. There's nothing really to be gained from like Joe Hendry defending the championship at Mania against Ricky and Ethan Page. A lot of people aren't following the storyline, don't really care. The crowd wouldn't really give a shit. At this point, I would say no. Maybe like 5-10 years ago. Nowadays, I would say no. And honestly, NXT, I know you would mention WWE truly touts it as the third brand. They haven't recently, and it's not. It is not a third brand. It has not been it was maybe a third brand for like a year or two when they were on not the WWE Network, but on USA Network, and they were pushing it up against AEW. At that point in time, NXT felt like a third brand, and then COVID happened and it kind of completely fucked it up. But it's been developmental ever since NXT 2.0. It's been pretty clear for a few years now that NXT is indeed developmental. And they're not having major stars anymore go to NXT. They have a couple main roster cameos, pretty frequently, but it's just not a must-see show, and it hasn't been for a very long time, despite being on the CW. And the ratings are good. I'm kind of shocked the ratings are as high as they are, because the show really doesn't really reflect that, in my opinion. But no, I would not put any NXT matches on WrestleMania unless it really made sense and it incorporated the main roster star, just because Stand and Deliver, I mean, it's not even important anymore, to the point where they fucking put it over, they're putting it over the first weekend of April, not even over WrestleMania weekend. They didn't get rid of it, but they're not doing it over Mania weekend. For the first time in 2015 maybe? This is the first time in maybe over 10 years they have not done an NXT show over WrestleMania weekend, which is insane to me. But it's probably for the best. Grunt said, I think you should go to Noah and join back up with Naito. Talking about Takahashi? Yeah, I know he's close with Naito. That would be cool. I mean, I really gained nothing from that personally because I don't watch Noah. I just want to see him in WWE just to see how he would do. It's now or never. He's not coming in 5 years. I mean, it's either really now or never. I feel like he could always go to Noah at some point down the road, but I selfishly want to see him in WWE just to see what he can do in that company and how they utilize him. I'm not getting my hopes up, like I said. Richie said, speaking of NXT men's talent, I see a lot of promise in Keanu Carver. Yeah, I know Christopher L. from Facebook, who sends in questions most weeks, is not a Carver fan. We've talked about Carver. He asked me a question about Carver in one of these episodes recently. I said it then and I'll say it now. I don't really think we've seen enough of him to get a proper grasp of what he's capable of. I'm not saying he sucks, but I'm also not going to say he's great. Even though Femi I was kind of on the fence on when I first saw him. I'm thinking they're putting the North American title on this guy so quickly. He was green as goose shit the last time I'd seen him a year earlier. But then Femi turned out to be a huge star, so I ate my words on that one. Carver might be too. What I've seen so far has been solid, but it's not like we've seen him work a whole lot of matches. I like what they're doing right now by having him feud with Booker T and I guess by proxy Jasper Troy. We'll see how far it can go. It kind of feels like they're trying to replicate the Obafemi formula with Keanu Carver, but by having him just be dominant out of the gate and really pushing him as this next big thing and whatnot, that's fine. We'll see if he can live up to the hype. So far, they've booked him well. It's now kind of on him to live up to the hype and hold his own in the ring and on promos and stuff like that. Fernando, what's going on, brother? Grunt said, considering NXT has been booted to YouTube, I think the days of them being considered a third brand are long gone. Yeah, so NXT television obviously is on the CW, but you're not wrong. I had mentioned this to Alexis last night because she had thought the weekly show was on YouTube. I mean, I missed the days when it was on the WWE Network as well. I agree with Richie on that. But yeah, Stand and Deliver is going to be on YouTube because it's not on Peacock anymore. The WWE Peacock deal is over. There is some WWE content on Peacock. I think they had SmackDown taken off and now it's back on. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But Stand and Deliver is going to be streaming on YouTube, which is interesting. So I have no issue with that. I mean, I still have Peacock. I'm going to keep Peacock. I watch shows on Peacock. I'm not complaining. But YouTube is pretty easily accessible. And definitely not a third brand. I would agree with Grunt on that one. Richie said, let me backtrack a little bit here. He said, it doesn't help that Ethan Page and Ricky Saints will probably be called up soon as well, and most likely paired as a tag team from how they've been linked recently when there's more meat on the bone than that. I completely agree. I think they're great as allies. They're a fun pairing. But what's the ceiling there with them as a tag team? You know what that screams to me? Ricochet and Aleister Black from 2019. Two guys that made for a great tag team, but they were much better off as single stars. Now, they did break them up soon after they started teaming on the main roster. That was really only their introduction to the main roster, so they didn't team for that long. I would not put Ethan Page and Ricky Saints together on the main roster. That tag team division is fucking dead as a doornail, or whatever the expression is. I would not put them in that division. Because they win the titles and then what? Maybe they can split up after that, but I actually would rather, if they're going to continue the vision, I would rather see them in the vision or just do their own thing on SmackDown. Maybe put one on one brand and one on the other as heels so they're not on the same show, kind of competing with each other. And they're not like a tag team. That's the thing. They're not a fucking tag team. They're two single stars thrown together. So I would not bring them to the main roster as a tag team because they both have to get over individually. I feel like that's harder if they're a tag team. So, excuse me. I would hope they would be brought up on their own. Fernando said, great the way Raw ended last night. I thought it was great. Maybe B+, A-. Maybe that's being too generous. I thought it was, the verbiage, like Punk talking about being old and shit was whatever. But I thought his promo was good. I thought Roman was good. It didn't feel like a scripted segment. And by that I mean it was messy. It felt raw, but like in a good way. Where like they were talking over each other and it's not like all this inorganic bullshit. It felt organic. It felt authentic. And a lot of WWE is missing that right now. We're kind of getting that, in my opinion, from Punk and Roman. And then Roman beating the shit out of Punk. I liked it. I really liked the segment and I liked how Raw ended. So I would probably go with B+, A. The only thing that would make it a B+ is that the whole reason that Punk was angry at Roman was talking about him being old. Like, who gives a shit? Like, him bringing up Larry would make more sense. But maybe Punk doesn't want to go that far, but then maybe don't bring up Roman's father. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But I thought everyone played their roles well, and it was a really good ending to the show. Grunt said, hilarious that Punk said that he wears the fact that he's old on his sleeve last night when it clearly got under his skin, completely coping. In character? Yeah, I mean, obviously, are you talking in real life or in storyline, Grunt? In real life, I mean, he is a sensitive fellow, is CM Punk. I love Punk, but I feel like that's fair to say that he's fairly sensitive. That said, in character even, you could say the exact same thing. You're not wrong. It obviously got under Punk's skin that he was called old. And that's why he struck Roman Reigns during that segment last week. So he's too much of a hothead. That's probably the story they're going for, is that Roman is successfully playing mind games with Punk. And the other part of the story they're telling is that Roman needs help, like from the Usos, and Punk doesn't. Punk is willing to fight his own battles. Unless they have Punk win with interference from like fucking Ricky Saints and Ethan Page or some shit. And the idea is that Punk's going heel and he's actually a hypocrite. That would be interesting too. So overall, I like the story they're going for. Both characters are total assholes, but that's kind of why this feud has been messy and why it works. It's entertaining television. Fernando said, is WWE copying the way AEW pushed Jade? Yeah, but that's not a bad thing. I would say they didn't copy it enough. In AEW, they had Jade kind of rise through the ranks by beating jobbers. And she did in WWE, but honestly, in WWE, they didn't put her in NXT as they probably should have. They put her instead of the main roster right away. But they put her right with Bianca as partners. And honestly, that wasn't what AEW did, but I thought it worked. I thought they had great chemistry. They were a fun team. They worked well together. And then they turned her heel. I mean, Jade was a babyface in WWE for like well over a year before she turned heel. Like almost 2 years, actually. So, no, actually, WWE did not copy the AEW blueprint. They're kind of doing, since she turned heel, yes, she is feeling a lot like the same Jade that she was in AEW. She hasn't had a great run. She's only had one fucking defense in like 4 or 5 months, which is ridiculous. But, I think overall, though, they booked her fine. She still has a lot to improve upon. But even if WWE did copy the same way that AEW built her up, I wouldn't have an issue with that because AEW, the way they built up Jade worked, and that's why WWE even wanted Jade, because she came across like a star in that company. Fernando said, the new NXT is dog vomit. I wouldn't go that far. Four Roots, One Tree. Ava. Oh, God, no. Schism and all that other Four Roots bullshit was so bad. NXT 2.0 was so bad. NXT right now, I wouldn't say is dog vomit per se. It's just not, it's fine. It's a fine show. There are some good elements to it. The women's division is far better than the men's division, and there are some quality men in that on that roster. But yeah, man, it's just there's not a whole lot to really go out of your way to see on NXT from any given week. Am I and Alexis watching Project Hail Mary tonight? Great question. Probably not. I wanted to, but it's actually a family member's birthday, so we might be celebrating that later. I'm not sure. I don't know. Probably not seeing the movie tonight. We didn't discuss it. Probably not happening today. I would wait until next $5 Tuesday. We might see it before then. She wants to. So I don't know. Probably not today. We are going to see the movie at some point. It looked good. A YouTube channel that I follow had broken it down. Alexis wanted to see it anyway, so I'm like, okay, we'll probably go see it. Don't think it'll be today, though. I don't think it'll be today. What else did we see recently? Scream? I thought we saw something else. Did we go to the movies for something else? I'm pretty sure we saw something else. Oh, Hoppers. We saw Hoppers a few weeks ago. That was good. Not on Tuesday, but we were going to see Scream 7. We actually haven't seen a movie on a Tuesday in a while. But yes, we will definitely see that movie soon. What are my thoughts on the Seth Rollins arrest spot? I thought that was a good segment. I don't really care about the whole Rollins feuding with the Vision thing. It doesn't really do much for me. We see people arrested all the fucking time on the show. It doesn't really mean anything, but I thought Rollins played his role well. I'll say that. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory in a handicap match. If Seth wins, he gets 5 minutes with Heyman alone at Mania. A couple things. One, that doesn't interest me at all. I don't give a fuck about that at all. We already saw Rollins hit a curb stomp on Heyman and beat the shit out of him last night before he got carried away by the cops. There really is nothing with Rollins. Like, there's no juice there in him getting his hands on Heyman because we've already seen it. That said, my other reservation with that match is that I could totally see them doing that. And that honestly might be where they're going. I could either see them doing that or Rollins and LA Knight teaming up. And I don't even like that. That would make even less sense. LA Knight has zero incentive to cheer or rather team with Rollins. With the way that Rollins made LA Knight's life a living hell last summer while Rollins was leading the Vision, it would make zero fucking sense for LA Knight to want to team with Rollins. Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend and, common enemies and shit. Yeah, no, it would just be fucking stupid. That would just be dumb. Doesn't mean they won't do it, but it would be very dumb. Richie said that was definitely a Hall of Fame move last year or maybe the year before or both. It went well into 3 a.m. and NXT had a 6 a.m. call time to the arena. Shame, though, doesn't feel the same. Yeah, they got to move the Hall of Fame to Thursday. They're not going to. I had seen what Sean Ross Sapp said about it as far as why they wouldn't do it. They don't feel like it's a big enough draw anymore. And it's not, but I still feel like people would pay to be at the Hall of Fame. I disagree with that. I agree and I disagree. And it's not as big of a draw as it used to be because they don't treat the Hall of Fame like as big of a deal as they used to. But I still feel like there's enough fans that would want to attend that would pay money to go to the Hall of Fame. They did it last year. It wasn't right after SmackDown. It was after SmackDown, but it wasn't in the same building as it normally is. But the Hall of Fame going into 3 a.m. and all this other fucking nonsense, it was just stupid. Just dumb. They start the Hall of Fame so fucking late. And then NXT's like the first thing on Saturday morning. Even on the West Coast, it's especially bad. Because the show starts at like 8 a.m. Yeah, no thanks. I have no interest in that at all. I went to one early stand and delivered 4 years ago. It was a good show, but it was way too fucking early. I'm not doing that shit again. The Hall of Fame is just the timing of it. It's just 2 nights of Mania now, and they have SmackDown on Fridays. It's difficult. It's just difficult to kind of fit everything in. But yeah, that's definitely part of the reason why they don't move. Why they did move stand and deliver, though. You are right on that, Richie. I think that was absolutely a factor. I mean, I wouldn't say that was the sole reason because they've done early stand and delivers for years now. Didn't seem to affect them in years past. In NXT, they probably honestly were just like, not enough people are going to NXT anymore on WrestleMania weekend even, that it's just not even doing. It's not even really worth doing, which is kind of crazy to me. But to me, that goes to show how cold NXT has become. Who's Carver? Keanu Carver's on NXT, Fernando. He's a newer name. Richie said, I think Keanu showed out great in that ladder match for the title on NXT a month or so ago. He did. I thought he had a good showing. But agreed, we need to see more. But so far, he carries himself well. But I agree on the Oba comparisons, and they should take a backseat on that a bit. I agree. Yeah, I agree on all of that. I think he's shown promise. He's not like put the NXT title on the guy, but like I think he's shown promise. He's not. I've seen far worse fucking prospects in NXT than Keanu Carver, to be perfectly honest. There are much more generic people on NXT, and there have been in the past, than Keanu Carver. Was they ever a Chuck Norris fan? Fernando said, I am, and was. Yeah, for sure. So I had mentioned this on Twitter last week when he passed. Rip, by the way. I grew up a big fan of Walker, Texas Ranger. With my grandfather, I would watch it when I was in like middle school and shit. Probably like late elementary, early middle school. Probably like early middle school. And I used to watch all the reruns on USA Network. That got me into watching Monk and Psych on USA. And that got me into watching Monday Night Raw. So I really have Chuck Norris and Walker, Texas Ranger to thank on that. If it wasn't for Walker, Texas Ranger, I don't know if I would be sitting here right now talking about wrestling with you. So yes, I was a Chuck Norris fan. That kind of bled over into me watching some of his movies, like a lot of the direct-to-DVD movies. But yeah, loved Walker, Texas Ranger. Big fan of Chuck Norris. Very sad that he passed. He was 86. He was definitely on the older side, but still sad nonetheless. Fernando said, did you enjoy the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer? I thought it was great. Yeah, I thought the trailer was awesome. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the movie. I think I said this maybe on Thursday last week. I said this at some other point, but yeah, I did because I remember Fernando responded. I think this was after RJ left the show last Thursday, but the only thing that pisses me off about the Brand New Day, just in general, is that it comes out SummerSlam weekend. Now, most likely, if I go to SummerSlam, I will be going by myself. And there's a few other people that I want to see the movie with. So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And I can't see it before I leave because typically I would fly out on Thursday. And the movie would be out on Thursday. It's not out on Wednesday. So I'm going to have to either see it by myself while I'm away, which is not ideal, and I'll be busy anyway, or wait until I come back and see it on that Monday or Tuesday, which by that point I just don't want to be spoiled. So I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. But the trailer looked great. And I saw the episode release schedule for Daredevil. 2 episodes next week. 1 episode tonight. I thought it was 2 tonight. I guess it's just 1. But, yeah, so Daredevil is going to be airing through early May. And then literally a week after that, they're putting out the Punisher special, which is awesome. They had said the summer for that. So I was expecting like June or some shit. They're putting it a fucking week after the Daredevil show wraps up, which is sick. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm fucking excited for that. Richie said, LOL random pairing, but damn, that match with the War Raiders is still one of my favorites. Yeah, it was so fucking random that they put Black and Ricochet together, but they were a great team in that Dusty Rhodes Classic. And you are right. I mean, first of all, that might be the best takeover of all time, Takeover New York. And that is such a great fucking opener. It's honestly, I mean, we said it even then, but it's comical looking back because all 4 of those guys went to the main roster after that was over. Black and Ricochet were already on the main roster from like a month or 2 earlier. And the War Raiders got called up like a week later. And it's comical. You see that match and they're like, yep, this is it. This is the peak. And it's all downhill from there, which it kind of was for all 4 of them. Have you seen any old Sid Vicious matches? Do any come to mind that you've really enjoyed? Yeah, actually one specifically. So you're asking that because it was announced right before I went live here, actually, by WWE, that he's going into the Hall of Fame, which is awesome news. Long overdue. Well-deserved. I just fucking hate that 2 things. One, that it's the legacy wing. And if it's the idea, well, he's dead, so it's like, you know, he's dead, so let's put him in the legacy wing. If I'm not mistaken, the legacy wing, they just do a fucking quick video package, and that's it. There's no speech. I mean, obviously, he can't give a speech, but like, listen, they put dead people onto the Hall of Fame every fucking year, and they get a full-on ceremony, induction, everything. I don't understand why Psycho Sid should be any different. He was in that company on and off for so long, had success, main evented 2 fucking WrestleManias. It's ridiculous, and that's the other aspect of this as well that pisses me off. They waited this long to do it. He should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. Years ago, and it's not like he was on awful terms with the company. He appeared on Raw twice in 2012. He came back on Raw, I think in Connecticut, actually, in June of 2012 for the Raw 1000 build-up facing Heath Slater. And then he was at Raw 1000 itself. So they easily could have put him in the Hall of Fame at any point after that, and they fucking didn't, and they waited until after he died. I mean, the Vader one is still worse because Vader they knew was dying and they waited until after he died, which was such bullshit. But the Sid one, they should have done it while he was around. Glad he's going in at all, but that annoyed me. Anyway, favorite Psycho Sid matches. The Taker match is not that good, and I don't like the Hogan match either. Both of those were the WrestleMania main event. The best Sid match I have probably seen and enjoyed was the Shawn Michaels match. They had a rematch of the Rumble, but specifically the first one at Survivor Series 96 is a great fucking match, and that crowd loved Sid that night. And they actually put the belt on Sid on that show too, ending Shawn Michaels' reign that had gone on since Mania that year in 96. Mania 12, I think that was. That's a really, really good match. That is easily my favorite / best Sid match I think I've ever seen. And I haven't seen every Sid match by far, but of all the matches of his that I've seen, that one easily stands out as being the best. Let's see. Grunt said, wild that the Usos being the tag champions isn't even enough to guarantee that they'll be defended at WrestleMania. Yeah, that's how fucking depleted that division is. And they're already doing the match that we thought we were getting at Mania with the Usos and the Vision. They're doing it on Raw. They did it on Raw this week, and they're doing it again on Raw next week. That doesn't make me think we're getting it again at WrestleMania. Why the fuck would they do a street fight for the tag titles on Raw next week and then run it back again at WrestleMania? That would just be dumb. So that tells me they're not doing that match at WrestleMania. Fernando said, do I like the story they are telling with Sami Zayn, and where do I see it going? I do. I think it's been one of the best parts of SmackDown in recent weeks. And people saying they're tired of Sami, hey, listen, I get it. Sami's still fucking awesome. And how long can you tell the underdog story before it runs out of juice? I get it. It's been a decade. I understand. But Sami is just so fucking good. He has a great character. He's a great talker. Great matches. I'm still a big Sami Zayn fan. I think he will win the World Championship at some point in WWE. Where do I think this is going? I think it's going to that. They're not going to that right away. I could see them waiting like another year. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I could see them waiting until like Mania next year to have him win it or whatever. I think he's going to turn heel before then, though. I feel like this will lead to him turning on Cody, which is comical because Cody's already been betrayed so many times already by like Cena and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton now. I mean, Sami joining the crew would just be comical. Might be Cody is the problem and not these other people, but that's where I think it's going. Grunt said, I'm completely avoiding anything around the new Spider-Man movie. I want to go into it as blind as possible. Honestly, that's definitely the way to go. The issue is I have a lot of friends who are Marvel people. I'm on the internet, as it is a lot, like with Twitter and shit. I just see the accounts that I follow, the YouTube channels that I follow, all they do is talk about this shit. So I will never not be in the loop on this. So I just embrace it. I don't go out of my way looking for spoilers, but I've already seen the trailer. That would be ideal. There are movies where I don't really know a whole lot about that end up being amazing because I don't follow them religiously. But in the Marvel stuff is far from it. I see shit on that all the time, so it is what it is. The week of, when spoilers come out the week of, those I try to avoid. Those are the weeks where I try to stay off of Twitter and social media so I don't get spoiled for the movie. But everything leading up to it, the movie comes out in like 4 months, there's no chance I'm not going to be spoiled on something. So it just is what it is. But that's probably the best approach, Grunt. I commend you on that. Fernando said, I think Becky... let me move my cursor here. I think Becky cut one of her best promos she cut in a very long time. Do you agree? I thought both women did. I liked the segment last night. I thought the material was great. I thought the delivery was great. Becky and AJ's promos with each other have been kind of hit or miss the last few months. I thought last night was really good. It set up the expected rematch for WrestleMania, so it accomplished what it needed to. The only aspect of it I didn't really care for was the fact they did not announce a stipulation. But that being said, Mania is not for another 4 weeks. They have time to circle back to that and announce a stipulation. So, great promos last night from both women. I thought it was very good. We've already heard and seen so much from them. So it's like, how much more can you really do? But I thought they did a great job of setting the stage for the rematch and getting me interested in seeing it. So, I liked it. Do I see Obafemi getting the best of Brock Lesnar throughout the entire road to Mania? Honestly, no, and I don't think he should anyway, because I feel like that would get old. I wouldn't complain, but I feel like for some fans that would get old, seeing Oba dominate Brock every week. You got to give Brock his heat back at some point. That would also make me more concerned that Oba dominating Brock every week would mean that Brock is winning at WrestleMania, which I still say is fucking stupid. I'm kind of just numb to it at this point. I was more mad a month ago when I was thinking that would just be dumb. I don't think it's the worst possible decision. I definitely would not do it. I can see the case being made for why Oba should lose or could lose, and it's okay. But why delay the inevitable? If the end game is still Oba beating Brock, why wait until SummerSlam? Who cares? Just have him fucking beat him at WrestleMania. And then do Gunther and Brock at SummerSlam and have Gunther retire Brock there. It doesn't have to be Gunther, it could be Oba. But that's like having Goldberg lose his like first big pay-per-view match in WCW. It's like having him lose to Hogan. Even worse, because that was a higher stake match. I mean, Goldberg's, his career is polarizing, I get it, but Goldberg is still looked back as one of the hottest stars during that period. Why the fuck would you sacrifice Obafemi's momentum? And he would not be dead in the water if he lost to Mania, but it would still be a stupid call. And completely unavoidable. Or completely, rather, avoidable. There's no reason to do it. Let me backtrack a little bit here. Appreciate all the comments. I know we started a bit slow here on the stream today, but all your comments are piling in. For those that are curious, we already answered all the scheduled questions earlier. So if you sent in a question prior to the video today, I already answered at the start of the video because there wasn't really anything going on in the chat. So anyway, Richie said, in WWE logic, why would Seth get arrested for attacking Paul Heyman? Sure, he isn't a competitor, but considering the sport he's involved in, Heyman should know he's always potentially in danger. I mean, why ask questions, right? I mean, the amount of shit that we see fucking Randy Orton tried to murder Cody Rhodes a few weeks ago. No cops came out to stop him. The producers did, but no cops. I think it was Heyman just being slimy. I mean, does he have... I don't know. Maybe the idea and storyline is, in WWE, anything goes. Okay, you could take a gun and shoot someone and they would not care. But if the wrestler themselves, if they're like a baby and they want to be protected, they go out and get a restraining order or some shit. That's probably what Heyman did, and he kind of alluded to that in his promo last night, where he said, his family was in the mafia or whatever the fuck, and they have a history of doing that, so they could probably explain it away by doing that. But the amount of shit that people get, outside of that, yeah, buddy, that's assault, LOL. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, no, exactly. It's just that the amount of shit that we see in WWE that doesn't lead to people getting arrested, but then the stuff that we see that does lead to people getting arrested is just comical. But that's wrestling for you. Starbucks coffee would help, Johnny said. Oh, for the early shows? It's still not worth it. Still not worth it. I went to Stand Deliver in Texas at like fucking 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, it was a good show, but it's just so unnecessary. They have way too much shit going on that weekend. Fernando said, should Triple H be who Randy is talking to? Is it time for a TV character Triple H to return? Or is it time for a TV character Triple H to return? To return? Triple H is already on TV enough as it is, announcing attendance and whatnot. He never really left. Now, granted, he's not a regular character on the show, but we have seen already so much of Triple H on television doing other shit. We don't need more of Triple H. I like Triple H. I like his booking. I don't think he's doing a terrible job. We don't need more of Triple H. No fucking thanks. Also, that wouldn't even make sense when Orton's like, yeah, good seeing you. Yeah, no shit. He sees him every week at work when he walks through Gorilla. That would just be stupid. Triple H on Gorilla, on the phone in Gorilla. That would just be fucking dumb. Ric Flair would make more sense, and I don't want to see that either. Ric Flair's even worse. Ric Flair would make more sense, but that would just be goddamn awful if they were to actually do that. Johnny said, was MJF versus Hangman the best Texas death match? In my opinion, no. I think, well, at least Swerve and Hangman. I would still say Hangman and Moxley from All In. I just thought everything about that match was perfect. It was special, great payoff, everything. I would say that one's the best. But even if not that one, Hangman and Swerve was I think that was a Texas death match too. In late 2023 or 4, whatever it was. I think it was 2023. I think that was better. MJF and Hangman was a great match. The best, it wasn't. Best Iron Man match, yes. Best Texas death match, I wouldn't go that far. Richie said, I went to Mania 40. We rolled up to Wells Fargo at 11:20, and the show started 10 minutes later. Way too early, LOL. I think 1 p.m. would be fine. Yeah, it would be fine, but here's the problem. First of all, I agree with you, but second of all, here's the issue with even doing it at 1. It's just like, it's a 2-hour show, and then you're asking your fans to fucking drive over to the other building for Mania, which you know is already going to be 4 or 5 hours long. It's just too much. It's just too much wrestling. And maybe I'm just fucking old. Maybe I'm CM Punk and I'm old and I'm a whiner. I don't know. Maybe I'm not grateful. I don't like that. We don't need to have a show in the afternoon or the morning and then another one at night. Way too much fucking wrestling. And the NXT shows have gotten overshadowed in recent years because of that. Because everyone's talking about Mania. Stand and Deliver last year was a way better show than WrestleMania 40. That's not a stretch to say. Stand and Deliver was a great show. But no one was fucking talking about it because Mania was that same day. These are not the same thing as Mania. It's not the same thing from 10 years ago when they had TakeOver the night before and Mania was one night. I like Mania being 2 nights now, but they have SmackDown on Friday as the Hall of Fame. They can't do TakeOver or whatever the fuck the night before unless it was on a Thursday. At that point, I would just put the Hall of Fame on a Thursday, but whatever. But anyway, like TakeOver, what was it? Dallas in 2016. TakeOver Orlando was kind of forgettable, but it was a good show. TakeOver New Orleans, TakeOver New York, all better takeovers, all better shows than the Manias that happened that weekend. And that was also just the quality of NXT at that point. But if they happened in the afternoons of those Manias, honestly, I don't think they would have been remembered as being as special. Because it's just way too much wrestling, and a lot of people don't want to go to shows at 1 o'clock in the afternoon if they're going to a fucking 5-hour Mania later on in the night. I just don't think it's ideal. Johnny said, where would you put AEW Revolution 2026 among AEW's best pay-per-views? I ranked this, I said this question last week. It wouldn't even be in my top 5. I mean, it was a great show. It was the best pay-per-view they've done since at least All Out, maybe All In last year. I would put All In 2025, 2024, both above Revolution. There's been better Revolution shows than Revolution 2026. But Revolution 2026 was still a great show. It's just not among their best ever. Who had the best Stone Cold Stunner? Like, who sold it the best? I mean, The Rock's was always completely fucking ridiculous, so probably The Rock. Scott Hall had that ridiculous sell one time. Yeah, I would say probably The Rock. It was just completely ridiculous. Vince's was the worst. Vince had the worst stunner. Worst sell of the stunner. If you're just saying the best stunner in general, obviously Stone Cold. But if you're talking about who's selling the stunner, then I would say The Rock. What do I think of Invincible? Great show so far. I really liked, every single time they start a new season of that show, I think to myself, it's been so long since I saw the last season, kind of forgot what happened. They're losing me at this point because the first season was so great. The first season was fucking awesome. I was told about it for years, finally watched it a few years later and loved it. And then it's like, why is the show still going? And then it happens every time. And then they put out like 3 episodes to start the season, and it's fucking great. I really like the season. I really, really like it. So, yeah. I mean, I watched all 3 episodes that day, and I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. As a New Yorker, I agree with your TakeOver take. Yeah, I mean, that is, in my opinion, the best TakeOver they ever did. You could say TakeOver Brooklyn 1. That was a very special one for different reasons. TakeOver New Orleans, TakeOver Dallas. Any of the Brooklyn shows really were all special. TakeOver Portland's an underrated one. It was right before COVID. To me, top to bottom, the best TakeOver they ever did was that New York one. In my opinion, the best ones they ever did, I was there for all of them, except for TakeOver New Orleans. I wish I was there for that one. I would put New Orleans up there as being the best. New York, Brooklyn, 3, maybe 1. 1 was special. And then Our Evolution was a really, really great show too. But like you look back and like they had fucking Bull Dempsey on that card. TakeOver New York is just a better show overall. TakeOver London I also really like too. I have to go back and watch that one of these days. Grunt said, wish AEW was more consistent with their Blu-ray releases and restocks. But Dynasty and All In 2024 out of FOMO that they would sell out again and won't come back. He also said, I know we live in an all-digital world now, but still, though thankfully it sounds like the younger generation are starting to turn that around. I'm very glad you brought that up because I literally just looked up the other day. I was looking at my DVD collection, and I don't know why I kind of got on, like, why this, like, made me go on this journey to go look this up. But I Googled, I was doing other shit the other day, and I was like, you know what? Are they still selling WWE DVDs? Because I wanted to look up a certain DVD. I think I was looking up, you know what it was? We're talking about NXT. That's actually why I looked it up. There was a DVD they put out for NXT 10 years ago this month. I fucking love the DVD. It's called The Greatest Matches of NXT, Volume 1. They never did a Volume 2. And it was all of NXT's best matches and moments dating back to 2012, like 4 or 5 years of moments. And it's a really, really good DVD. And I don't know where it is. I have to find it. But I was going to see if I could buy another copy online. And they have it online. You could buy it, but why spend 20, 30 bucks when I already have the other thing? I just got to go out and find it. But it got me thinking, like, do they do NX or like just DVDs in general? And I forgot they stopped making the DVDs. I forgot they stopped making the DVDs years ago. They have not made a WWE DVD since Survivor Series 2023. That's fucking 2.5 years ago. I totally forgot about that. And it makes me sad. As someone who collected a lot of the Manias on DVD, who collected a lot of pay-per-view DVDs on DVD, it's depressing because they were so good. I used to love going to FYE, For Your Entertainment is what it was called, for those that are unfamiliar, and finding whatever cheap WWE DVDs they had for like $5. And whether they were good shows or bad shows or shows I was nostalgic toward, I enjoyed watching them. Now, they uploaded all the pay-per-views on Netflix, which is nice, but you never know when they could be gone. Like on Peacock, they're gone. And they might be off of Netflix at some point, but at least we have them there for now. But at least I know I have the DVD, so I can forever watch some of these shows if they're not on Peacock or Netflix or whatever. Fernando said, is it very hypocritical for WWE fans to start losing their shit for the Ricochet situation? That's a tongue twister. But said absolutely nothing when poor Harley Cameron had to shut her entire social media because of toxic fans. No, I don't think there's any hypocrisy there. I don't think one has to do with the other. And I mean, first of all, people did say something with the Harley Cameron thing. The Ricochet thing was a much bigger deal. People know that wrestling fans are terrible. It's not that people, first of all, something absolutely, I mean, it'd be more hypocritical if you mentioned the Samantha Irvin thing. If no one mentioned, if everyone was okay with Samantha Irvin getting bullied, which it's not okay, obviously. She's getting fucking death threats and all this other dumb shit from stupid fans. That shit's going too far. Obviously, if Ricochet wants to fight these online trolls, I wouldn't. It's kind of a waste of time. But if he wants to, whatever. It's not that he responds to these people or he condemns them for saying dumb shit. It's that he himself also said something very distasteful and very dumb for the MS, for that MS comment to that fan saying, I'm glad you got MS, which was so stupid. Ricochet's Twitter activity has been very suspect for a few years now, ever really since he left WWE. He just comes across like an immature baby, and that's coming from someone who thinks Ricochet is great. I think he's an excellent talent. He's great in AEW. His social media activity is very questionable, and I just thought that was so unnecessary. For a comment that a fan made, not even telling him to like go kill himself or something. The fan not even tagged him. I think he was tagged in the tweet because it was an AEW tweet or something, and he was tagged by default by accident, saying that his acting is not improved. That's literally all this woman said, and Ricochet freaked the fuck out and said, I'm glad you got MS. And you can't blame that on him being a heel. He's just an asshole. He just sounds like an asshole. So, not the same thing, but wrestling fans are also to blame too. Not only for the Ricochet stuff, but just in general, because wrestling fans are fucking awful. Anyway, Richie said, screw that digital world nonsense. Physical media is king. Completely agree. Fernando said, it's not fair that wrestlers can't clap back to toxic fans and just take verbal abuse. I agree with that. Wrestlers do clap back. It's not that they can't clap back. Ricochet did not take verbal abuse from that fan who said his acting is not improved. That was just an opinion. It's not even really that big of a deal. It's not like this fan said, that his wife, anything derogatory about his wife. It was about his fucking acting skills, and he freaked out. It was towards the wrong person. If he had said that towards the death threats, different story, I think it would make more sense. That was just completely out of fucking pocket. And he didn't really feel bad until someone told him to feel bad. So it's just not the same thing. But wrestlers should be, or fans rather, should be held accountable for also saying dumb shit. And there's a lot of fucking dumb fans that say dumb shit. It's hard to kind of fight fire with fire, though. It's just a waste of time. Richie said, I did something similar with the All In 2018 Blu-ray release, rather. Although I don't see that it's sold online anymore, Grunt, I'm glad I pulled the trigger. That is smart. I think it's still on Triller. I feel like it's on Triller now. I got to go back and watch that show. I've been meaning to rewatch All In 2018 for years now. And it's not like it's this amazing show, but it really is interesting how it did start AEW. Got to go back and watch it one of these days. Grunt said yes, but it was still a dumb thing for him to say, and I'm glad he apologized. I don't think he needs to be fired, fined, or depushed for this. We just got to move on. Yeah, I would agree with all that. Obviously, it's good he apologized. It came across like a fake apology, as if he was just doing it because he was forced to, but it's better than not apologizing. I wouldn't fire him either. Fine him. I wouldn't fine him, but here's the thing. It's just fucking comical to me. Reportedly, they did not hire Trey Miguel because of shit that he said on social media. Now, are we going to sit here and argue what's worse between what Ricochet said and what Trey Miguel said? I mean, honestly, the Trey Miguel stuff is probably worse, but like, where is the line drawn? Ronda Rousey, who's not under a contract, but they did put on their pay-per-view, said Sandy Hook was like an inside job or something dumb like that. I mean, how the fuck can you say something like that and then put that person on television? Granted, she came out and apologized for it, but so did fucking Trey Miguel. I mean, they don't give a shit. If you're a star, they will not care. It's just we're not going to hire this person for that, but we're going to hire this person for this. It's dumb to me. It's double standards, but I can't say I'm surprised. Richie said, thoughts on TNA's current product? Do you think they've maintained consistency since the AMC move? Also, huge news for them last week announcing their India deal. Very happy for them. I did not know they announced an India deal. That is cool. I must have missed that. But yeah, I think I don't really talk about TNA a lot. I do obviously watch the show and review the show. WrestleRant.com, you'll get those written reviews. But no, I've said the same thing in my reviews, that I think they've done a good job of maintaining consistency. The shows have been quality. They've been good. They're not like amazing. They're not must-see. Not enough people are talking about the show. But honestly, that's been the case with TNA for a long time. And TNA shows have not really been bad for a while, with or without Scott D'Amore. It's inconsistent at certain points, especially with like the women's division. But overall, TNA Impact has been a good show on AMC. I'm just glad they have a bigger platform. More people are watching the show. Their roster is kind of depleted. They lost a lot of talent. They kind of have to build that back up. But otherwise, I've been enjoying Impact. It's a shame because that first episode on AMC was fucking awful. Just terrible. And then every episode since then has been far better. But not enough people talk about it because that first episode was so bad, which goes to show you how important a first impression can be. But yes, I do think the show has been good, and they have maintained consistent quality on Thursday nights, at least in my opinion. How much does the Timeless Tony injury hurt AEW? Well, two things. I don't know if it's an injury. I said earlier it might be a pregnancy. That's the speculation because I've heard she's not hurt, so I don't know what to believe. But two, it does hurt the women's division. Tony was really what that entire division was built around. Granted, she's not a champion right now, but she was in the tag team title hunt. She was the women's world champion for most of last year. They could have put her in the TBS title picture with Willow or whoever. So her being gone does hurt, but like I said, it's an opportunity because they have a lot of great women. And Ronda Rousey is not among them as far as like they don't need Ronda. Please do not fucking hire Ronda or focus on Ronda. They have so many great women as it is that could fill that void of Tony, whether it be Mercedes as the top baby face. And I don't really like her as a face, but I said earlier it just makes sense to put her in that spot. Tekla's great. They brought in Thekla, and they've given her a great push, and she's made the most of it. Tekla is one of the best parts of that division. Willow is excellent. Willow's excellent. Continue doing more with her as the TBS champion. They brought in Lana Cross. We have new tag team champions with her and Megan Bain. I like that. Maybe bring back Deonna Purrazzo to television. Fucking use Athena, my God. Grunt tweeted me that last week, and I agree. What the fuck, man? Use Athena. Jesus Christ. Like, for more than a month, please. But they have the women to fill the void that Tony left behind. Not completely, because Tony is such a massive star for them as far as character shit and ring shit. She checks every box. A lot of these other women don't, but they can at least attempt to give them more television time and do more with them in the absence of Tony Storm. So they can try to turn the negative into a positive as much as possible if they do that. Grunt said it'll only hurt them if they don't use this opportunity to push new women up to her level. Exactly. That's what I just said. I completely agree. It'd be very hard to get me to hate Sammy. I mean, yeah, honestly, if you're like bored of Sami Zayn, I get it. Alexis has been bored of Sammy for a while now. I get it, but the guy's also fucking awesome, and as a person, he's incredible. I met Sammy. I've interviewed him a few times. He is so fucking nice. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. He might be annoying to some people, but like, I don't know how you could ever hate Sami Zayn. Hate is a strong word. Annoyed or bored by is different. Hate, if you hate Sami Zayn, there is something wrong with you. Richie said, I need Triple H to come out at Mania to remind me that it's a new era. Fuck no, please no, God no. He probably will, to be honest. Either at Mania or on Raw the next night. Jesus Christ. How many eras have we gone through since Paul took over? 6, 7? 6, 7? More than that, Grunt. We've gone through way more new eras than that. That is. We've gone through 6 or 7 new eras in the last year alone. The Netflix era, the era after me, the Yee era. CM Punk winning the world title, new era. Survivor Series, new, like all this new fucking era bullshit. After SummerSlam, the Cena era. We've had 6 or 7 new eras in the last year alone, let alone since Triple H took over in 2022. Richie said, I think an argument can be made that having a show in the afternoon or World, Raw, SmackDown gives people options who maybe can't make it at Ford Mania. That or there's a ton of indie shows too. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, so I agree with that. The problem is if you're focusing on the price component, they're also pricing people out of that shit too. I mean, if you can't afford to go to Mania, first of all, you're probably normal because it costs so much fucking money to go to Mania nowadays. It's ridiculous. You're probably you fall in the 95% of people that think it's way too expensive. But then they're also overcharging for Raw, SmackDown, and World. I mean, it's way less expensive than Mania, but even World now is so expensive. You're literally paying Mania money ticket, the price of a Mania ticket. If you go to World and pay to meet someone, legit, you have to pay to get in. And maybe if you meet one person, if you pay to meet someone like a Bailey or I don't know, any of the notable names, you have to pay to meet them. If it's a mid-carder or lower, you don't typically have to pay. But everyone else you have to pay. You will pay as much as you would for a Mania ticket, which is insane to me. But yeah, I mean, having all this other shit, NXT in the afternoon, I still don't agree with. But if you have Raw, SmackDown, those are different days. I'm fine with that. Having different days, if you want to fill the weekend with events, that's fine with me. But if you have NXT and shit the same day, from the same company, because you mentioned indie shows, like Joey Janela's Spring Break. I have no interest. I don't give a fuck. But they have that after Mania. That's been a staple over Mania weekend for a very long time. They have a lot of indie shows in the afternoon. That makes sense to me because you're capitalizing off people that don't want to go to Mania or also want to go to Mania, whatever. Stand and Deliver, though, doesn't have to be that day. It doesn't do, the indie shows or whatever, they're trying to benefit from WrestleMania. NXT does not benefit from being in the afternoon. It never has. No one has sat there and said Stand and Deliver was better than Mania the last few years. I just did 10 minutes ago, but I actually watched the show. Most people probably forgot about it because Mania happened that night and it was such a mixed bag. More people talked about that than Stand and Deliver. It just gets overshadowed. So I would say no on the NXT part, but everything else you said, I do agree with. Have I heard of Paradise? Fernando asked. It's a great series. I recommend it. I have heard of it. I think I watched a couple of videos on it. What is it about? I don't remember. And what is it on? Is it on Apple or something? I have heard of it. I just haven't watched it. Grunt said, have the cops, quote unquote, ever gotten involved in AEW? I legit can't recall. That's a good question. I don't know if AEW has pulled the cop card yet. I feel like they must have at some point. I feel like they must have. I'm sure AEW has done an arrest angle at some point. I just can't remember. That's such a WWE Attitude Era thing. But, excuse me, I'm sure AEW has done it at some point. Fernando said, I think NXT Black and Gold is the best. Which NXT era is your favorite? I mean, it's not even close. What era of NXT is the best? It has to be Black and Gold. Specifically, in my opinion, the best NXT ever was probably 2015, 2016, maybe 2017. That was the best NXT they ever had. I would say, and also 2018 was excellent, 2019 was great, and then early 2020, right before COVID, was also super strong. I am more so nostalgic towards NXT in 2015 through 2016 or 17. It was just untouchable. Definitely not NXT 2.0, I'll tell you that again. Eric, what's going on? He said, Hater, Mone final for the Owen again. Well, if you do that, then Hater better win. You're not having Mone beat Hater twice in the finals. That would be stupid. Fernando said, should Mercedes return as a babyface to pivot from the injury from Timeless Tony Storm? Yeah, I said that earlier, but yeah, probably. I wouldn't love that because I think Mercedes is better as a heel, but that would make sense. Who's trimming the bushes for AEW now, LOL? That's a great question. We'll have to ask RJ on Thursday. Now that Tony Storm isn't there, who's trimming the bushes? Trim your bushes, bitches. We're going all out. It's a Tony Storm quote. It's in the notes. It's in the notebook. So if Tony Storm said it, it must be true. Richie said, I regret selling my WWE DVD Blu-ray collection. My ignorant ass self thought we were going to have the network forever. You and me both, brother. You and me both. A lot of people sold off their DVDs. I mean, honestly, unless you're like a big-ass nerd like me or I guess Grunt or whatever, and I guess you too, Richie, in this case, you have no use for them because all the shows currently are on Netflix. They were on Peacock. They were on the network. I just like physical media. And honestly, it is a waste of space and even a waste of money because even if you pay for the Netflix, Peacock, whatever, the network or whatever, you're still paying less than you would for these DVDs. I mean, these DVDs you have forever, but those shows are likely going to be around on some service forever. Likely. We just don't know that for a fact. And they're also a waste of space. I get it. I don't really give a shit. I like wasting space with stuff like that. I like physical media. That's just me. It's a nice collection. Let's see. Grunt also said, should AEW push Revolution to whatever month WWE does Saudi Mania next year? I still think they should take advantage of the fact that they won't be in the States for Mania. I think that'd be a great idea. We don't know when Mania is next year, and honestly, they may not even do Mania in Saudi. If they do Mania in Saudi, then yes. Whether it be early April or late March, yes. And then maybe you have an AEW pay-per-view in between them, because to go exactly 3 months without an AEW pay-per-view might be a lot. You already go kind of 3 months, but, Revolution is typically early March, mid-March, not late March or early April. You might need another show. Maybe put Dynasty in early February or something. Grand Slam Australia is great, but I don't know if that's really a pay-per-view. But anyway, we don't even know if they're going to Saudi next year. Currently, it's confirmed, but with the war stuff going on right now, they might have to change. I mean, they were already talking about changing their June pay-per-view, June or July. They're in Saudi for King of the Ring, I think. They might have to, move the show out of there for next year, or Night of Champions or whatever it is. So we'll see. Or not for next year, for fucking June. And if they do that, depending on the war situation, they might have to move Saudi Mania as well, and I think they fucking should. Fernando said, I have 3 huge stacks of DVDs that I don't know what to do with, LOL. Hey, you and me both, but I like keeping it. You and me both. Grunt said, that's one of the few benefits of never getting the network proper up here in Canada. Still got my DVD collection. Even finally bought WrestleMania 17 a few years ago at a decent price. Well, that's pretty cool. Having Mania 17. I mentioned earlier, watch along. You could pop it up on your DVD, Grunt. But that's another thing, too. Having this stuff on DVD, no fucking ads. On Netflix, I have no ads, but on Peacock, there were ads. On the network, there were no ads. But on Netflix, there sometimes is, and on Peacock, there definitely is, depending on the tier that you have. But yeah, watch along Mania 17 next Wednesday here on the channel. Keep an eye out for that. Grunt said, yep, the fact that we'll never get a physical copy of Mania 40 is criminal. At least end it with that show. I was thinking about that. Even if I didn't go out of my way to buy the DVDs anymore, if I was out, I would buy the Mania DVDs at the very least. Because I think I had every DVD of Mania. Let me think. I think I bought Mania 38. I have Mania 38 here somewhere. But I have Mania 38. Mania 37 I was there for, so I definitely bought that one. Mania 36 Alexis got me for Valentine's Day years ago, so I have that one. That was the fucking COVID Mania. Mania 35 I was there for. I think I have that. I think I have all the Manias. Maybe not Mania 34. Not all the Manias, but I bought every Mania DVD through 24. Because that's when I started watching wrestling. So I had Mania 24 on DVD. 25 I got for my birthday. 26 I have. 27 I think I bought. 28 I definitely have. 29 I think I have. 30 I bought for sure. 31 I bought. 32 and 33 I definitely bought because I was there. 32 I probably bought too. So yeah, I collected all the Manias and now they don't sell them anymore on DVD, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. That's the future, I suppose. Yeah, Juice Robinson might have taken Timeless Tony from us. We don't know that as a fact, but it's looking more likely by the day. Richard said, Graham, stop. This is a new era. It is. Every new week is a new era, including here on #AskGSM. On #AskGSM, it's a new era, as it is every single week. Fernando said, if you had the book, how would you book Randy Orton to get him booed by most fans? I mean, he really destroyed Cody. He's got to go after the fans, too. not just like a You People promo, but like he's really got to explain why he's turning against Cody and also turning against the fans. He's got to like do some real despicable shit, you know, like real despicable shit. Cody's already kind of getting booed, so him attacking Cody isn't enough to get him booed. Not punt a baby or something, but he's got to do something fucking drastic. And I think beating up on a loser like Matt Cardona, who I enjoy, I like Matt Cardona, that's not going to get you booed. He's got to be more vicious than that and also go after the fans. Grunt said, I still have yet to go back and watch all the AEW shows pre-All Out 2021, hoping to get added to some kind of service here in Canada at some point. I think they're on Max. I know that's not in Canada, I don't think, but I think they're on Max now, which is cool. I would love to go back and watch some of those Dynamites because those are some of my favorite AEW shows. It was when they came back from COVID, and it was right before All Out. So I don't know if I would go back and rewatch them and like review them here for the channel, but they did have a lot of great shows at that point. Fernando said, who would you like to see step up to fill the timeless Tony void? Well, I mentioned definitely Athena. I would at least try to put Deonna Purrazzo back on television. She hasn't been on the show in like a fucking year, which is just wild to me. They just relegate her instead to Ring of Honor. Willow, we're seeing a lot of, which is great. Chris Statlander, they're pushing prominently, which is great. Thekla, we're seeing more of, which is great. So those are like the key three right there. But other than them, let me look it up real quick. Let me look it up. The AEW women's roster. They have a lot of fucking women on their roster. Hold on. Yep. They have a very long injured list, too. Like, Camille, where the fuck is Camille? I think Sheeta's still out right now. I mean, she wouldn't really step up necessarily, but let's see. For the women, they have a big women's division, but it's not as long as they thought because a lot of women are on the inactive list. But Jamie Hayter, I would like to see step up, but she's teaming with Alex Windsor right now, so I guess not. But definitely Jamie Hayter. She's underutilized. You can bring back Britt Baker. You don't build a division around her, but why not use Britt Baker even if she's leaving at some point? Where the fuck is Anna Jay? Is she being used? Like, is she leaving? That was the idea, not the inspiration. Alex Windsor is good. Diamante, no. Emi Sakura, definitely not. Harley Cameron, I don't really care about. High-end, no. Julia Hart, I like. You're not going to build the division around her, but, she's okay. Marina Shafir, don't give a shit. Maya World, no. Nyla Rose, where the fuck is she? Persephone? Do more with Persephone. I would like to see her step up. She's great. Persephone is someone I would like to see be built around. Mina Shirakawa, it feels like it's too late. She's just been labeled a loser. Thunder Rosa, they kind of got her back on TV recently. I would like to see them do more with her. Rachel Ellering, no. Riho, no. Deeb, where the fuck is she? Sky Blue, she's good in her role. Taya Valkyrie, I've just given up on at this point. Viva Van, no. Yuka Sakazaki, no. And Zeta Steel, yes, I would like to see her step up. So those are a few names. Those are a few names for you. Did I hear the Gato story about him being mailed a picture of a check by TNA? I probably have. That is fucking hysterical. That's like peak TNA 2011. That's hilarious. That doesn't surprise me at all. Richie said, if Tony Khan didn't pull the cop card on CM Punk and Jack Perry, then I think it's safe to say he won't. Yeah, it won't get much worse than that. If he didn't pull the cops on them, then he's probably not using any cops in AEW. Fernando said, I've wasted a lot of money on Star Wars special edition DVDs. If I knew they were going to be on TV all the time, I would have saved my money, LOL. Yeah, they're fucking replayed on FX every single day, all the Star Wars movies, but it's cool to have them. It's cool to have the Star Wars DVDs anyway, because what if they're not on Disney Plus anymore, or they're not on TV anymore? You just never know, I think I owned at one point from like 20 years ago. I had the original trilogy on DVD, 4, 5, and 6. I don't know where it is now, if I even still have it, but I definitely had those on DVD at one point. Fernando said, that's the problem with booking shows in the Middle East. Wars just break out. Yeah, and the company doesn't really seem to care. Grunt said, hey, who are you calling a nerd? I would put myself above anyone in that nerd category. I would never call anyone a nerd unless they embraced being a nerd, unless they like that nickname. I'm just telling you, I am absolutely a fucking nerd with many things. So, and it's not even, it doesn't have as a negative a connotation as it once did. So, don't want to say it's a stamp of approval, but if you consider yourself to be among us, then more power to you and welcome to the club. Richie said Randy has to pull an 09 move and RKO Brandy at this point. Honestly, I would fucking cheer for that. She was annoying as shit in AEW. In WWE, we really haven't seen her, but would that get her heat, though? That's the question. I would like to see it. I don't know if that's going to get him heat, but we'll see. Richie also said, would those old AEW pay-per-views be available to watch for those internationally on that new site, My AEW? It's a great question. I don't think so. All the old pay-per-views, no. I think it's only for you to watch current shows if you're international. I don't think they have anywhere where you can watch the old pay-per-views yet. I might be wrong on that. There might be somewhere you can watch them. They might even be on Max. I don't know. I can watch some of them because I have through my Bleacher Report account and shit, I can watch some of the old shows. They got to put them somewhere like in a single spot where you can go back and watch them. And at this point, honestly, that would be nice. And full-length shows are better. But on YouTube now, they've gotten into the habit in recent years of putting up full matches on their YouTube channel. So if there's any AEW match you want to go back and watch, most of them are probably up already in full-length form on their YouTube. Will putting Danhausen or Joe Hendry be enough to get the fans to turn on Randy? Will punting Danhausen or Joe Hendry be enough for fans to turn on Randy? Joe Hendry, no. They would probably chant one more time. Danhausen, the turn on Randy, probably not. They would probably enjoy that. Do you see Bayley and Lyra winning the women's tag team titles? Yes. At WrestleMania, I do. Yes. Grunt said, I don't understand this obsession with saving space for the sake of saving space. Not everyone is happy with a big empty room with just a couch and a TV. I completely agree with you. I mean, I'm among those that has probably too much shit and probably should clear out stuff, but I have a use for pretty much everything. I don't keep everything, but especially stuff that people give me or is gifted to me, I don't really get rid of anything. But like DVDs and stuff, I don't agree with that either. I just think that's fucking dumb. That style of a home or a house or an apartment or whatever, where people just have nothing in there and there's no personality. It's just fucking boring. It's just walls and a couch and a TV. That's just boring to me. I actually, as long as it's organized, having a lot of shit, I don't have an issue with it at all. If it's organized and not messy and you have a nice collection of shit, I think that's cool. But again, that's just me. Well, first of all, Fernando had said previously, have we seen Revenge of the Nerds? I think on TV I've seen parts of it. I have not seen the full movie. I know what it is. I think I've seen parts of it. I have not seen the whole movie. Richie said, fine, Randy Orton has to RKO Liberty. That would be crazy. That might get him booed. Honestly, the fact that that it would be so crazy, it might be cool enough. It might be cool enough to get Randy Orton cheered, as fucked up as that is. Grunt said internationally, yes, but that doesn't include Canada, unfortunately. Oh, that's bullshit. That is stupid. He also said, being a Canadian fan sucks sometimes. We don't get the stuff you guys get in the States, but we're not international enough to get the stuff in the UK fans do. So dumb. So dumb. I would recommend, I'm not sitting here trying to plug it because I have a code or something. I know Solomonster has a code that he plugs. I don't have a fucking code for you guys. But I would just say this. People use certain VPNs and shit. I didn't have a VPN for the longest time. And I don't care about VPNs for fucking security's sake. Yeah, sure, okay, whatever. I have a VPN for when I need it, for when I want to watch stuff in other countries. It is so valuable for that reason. And I will say this. I would not just buy a VPN just to have a VPN. But I have Norton Security. I mean, if you have a security on your computer, whatever it might be, McAfee, whatever the fuck, whatever you're using, see if they can incorporate a VPN. Like a lot of these services also have VPN included, like Norton. Norton has a VPN built into it. And that's why I got it. I used to use McAfee. I switched from that to NordVPN. Not NordVPN, Norton. I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't think it's the same thing. But now I use the VPN shit literally all the fucking time. All the time I use the VPN shit. So I would just recommend that. If you're in Canada, even in the States, I almost paid for the fucking WWE network by using a VPN before they closed it about a year ago. I almost paid for it just to use it because the WWE network was so great. I agree, Richie. We need the AEW network. I mean, if Tony Khan knows what's best for him, he will do it at some point. It's just such a great idea to have all your old content in one place. We were spoiled with the WWE Network. $8.99. Yeah, not even $9.99. Better deal than the WWE Network. Make it $8.99. That would be wonderful. Grunt said I'd be signed up in a heartbeat, day one subscriber. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. Hopefully hopefully at some point we get it. Fernando said more famous nerd, Pee Wee Herman or Steve Urkel? Ooh, that's a good question. More famous nerd? I'm going to go Steve Urkel. Pee Wee Herman was a bigger entity entertainment-wise. But I like I said to it, I think she knows who Pee Wee Herman is. I think more people know who Steve Urkel is, though, based on just how big Family Matters was as a show. Pee Wee Herman had more reach. I feel like Steve Urkel might be more memorable, though, for fans of, like, people of today, younger people of today. So I'll go Steve Urkel. Bare white walls looking at like a padded room. Yeah, it's just so fucking, like, lazy. So fucking lazy. I don't know. Everyone has their own taste for shit. But you walk into a house, a home, an apartment, whatever, and you just see nothing around. Unless they can't afford anything, that would be one thing. But, like, if you just have no items and you just choose not to put anything and you just sell all your shit, I know people like that. It's just, it has no personality to me. Like, nothing on the walls. You don't keep anything that's given to you. I'm not saying be a pack rat, but, like, come on, man. Put a fucking poster on the wall or something. I don't know. I'm just different, I guess. Yeah, you got a Norton sponsored segment here on the show. It wasn't intentional. I don't even have a code for you, but I'm just saying, I think if you... A NordVPN I tried once, I don't know if that includes, like, basic computer security. The Norton one that I use does, and that's why I used it. I think I got it on a deal, and then I got it on a deal, and then it also came with a VPN. I'm like, fuck yeah, and I use it all the time to find, like, other shit. Oh, this is on Disney Plus in that country? Okay. I want to watch SmackDown early in England today when it airs early. Not like now, but when they're over in England, I use the fucking VPN. It's incredible. Use code CREAM for 15% off when you subscribe to an annual plan. Thank you, Norton VPN, for sponsoring this stream. Hey, listen, I would love for them to sponsor the stream with the code CREAM, no less, or Bon Quivy. The code Bon Quivy, not Trevor. We don't like Trevor. We've said that before, but Bon Quivy for sure can be a. I'm sure Bon Quivy would love to be a sponsor of the streams. Randy punts Tatum 4 times. That should be enough. Tatum Paxley? Oh my God. Okay, that's just fucking... That might be murder, Eric. I don't think that's him getting heat. That might be just him getting put in jail. So I wouldn't say that. Grunt said, mention this at the time, but I bought the Lilo and Stitch Blu-ray just because of the Pizza Box edit on Disney+. Can you send me a picture of that, Grunt? That sounds fucking... I don't know. When did you mention that? I don't remember you saying that. Maybe you didn't. I just don't remember. But can you send me a picture of that? That sounds fucking cool. I might have to get that. I don't have the Lilo and Stitch movie on DVD. The new one. Are you talking about the original or the new one? I don't have either on DVD. I did have Leroy and Stitch on DVD at one point. Fernando said, can you remember your favorite question you ever asked a wrestler and the best answer or response that you got? It's a good question. Favorite question I ever asked a wrestler. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. And the best answer or response that I got. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. There's been a lot, so I can't really narrow it down. But I'll just say this. Anytime anyone ever responds with what I just said, that's a good question. That's like, to a journalist, to an interviewer, regardless of who it is, that is like fucking crack. You love getting that sort of response. Oh, that's a great question. That tells you that you did a great job, that you did your research, that it was an insightful question. Yeah, man, it's I don't know. I don't have a single answer for you, but anytime anyone ever responds with that, or they give an insightful answer and they think back, they kind of stop to pause and think about it for a second, that's always a great sign. Grunt said, that is true. When it comes to AEW match uploads on YouTube, we are, in fact, international enough to get those. Well, that's good. They don't block you from watching those on YouTube. What's your go-to snack for movies and wrestling events, Fernando asked? It's a good question as well. I'm not just saying that because I'm just because I just said it. I'm saying it because it's true. Different answer for both. For movies, for going to the movies, It's popcorn. It's not even a question. Always pop. I don't think I've gone to the I've gone to the movies and not gotten popcorn, but 99 times out of 100, I will go to the movies and get popcorn. Not even a question. I would feel weird if I didn't. But popcorn, and then for a candy, I like snow caps, but I've gotten more into. I've always liked cookie dough bites, but now if I can find a good cookie dough bites for like a fucking $1, not at the movies, they're way too expensive at the movies. If I can find it from like the dollar store or something like that, it's either M&M's, cookie dough bites, mint cookie dough bites, which are great. The caramel ones I discovered I like as well. Hershey bars are good. They just melt very easily. Or snow caps. Typically cookie dough bites, though. Those are always great. Bunch of Crunch I also like. And then for wrestling events, I mean, usually at the wrestling events, I just have food. If they have chicken fingers, they're usually overpriced as fuck. If it's an indie show, a slice of pizza always goes a long way. M&M's, a Coke, water, Coke. Sometimes I'll have Gatorade. I feel like I'm back in, on my Little League baseball team when I have Gatorade. I love Gatorade. Gatorade's great. I just don't drink enough of it. I don't just go out of my way to get it. Yeah. But yeah, those would probably be my go-to snacks. And then chips. I like chips too. Chips at a wrestling show, not at the movies, but I'm a big chip fan. Lay's chips, salt and vinegar chip. I like sour cream and onion. I never get it, but I do like it. I'm typically salt and vinegar. I'm a salt and vinegar guy, though. Yeah, LOL Bun Quippy. Not my cutie patootie Tatum. I love Tatum Paxley. She's great. Tatum is excellent in NXT. Big fan of her work. Got a chance to meet her a few years ago over Mania weekend, and she was extremely nice. I would never want to see her get punted in the head 4 times, let alone once. Do not wish harm upon that woman. Better interviewer, Stone Cold or Taker? Stone Cold. I think Taker's a good interviewer. I don't really watch his interviews or his podcast. I really don't care, to be honest with you. Stone Cold was a fucking awesome interviewer on his podcast, on the network, on his own podcast, just in general. I loved listening to his show, even if it wasn't wrestling related. I always thought it was enjoyable. Really, really enjoy the Stone Cold podcast. So, yeah, definitely Stone Cold. Although Taker is pretty good in his own right. Grunt said, I don't think nerd when I hear Pee-wee. He was more of an oddball than a nerd. I would agree with that. Richie said, I was unfamiliar with Tatum's game. Yeah, Tatum she's been good she's always been good, but I think where she really shines is the character stuff. I'm not saying she's been this great wrestler since day one. Tatum Paxley will never be recognized for being among the best wrestlers in that company. Even for the women, she might not even be top 10 or 10, 15. But she's probably not even top 15. But her character work is where she really shines. She's a good promo, but she connects with the audience. She's a weirdo, and they don't have many characters like her. They kind of they've had a few people like her over the years, but she reminds me a lot of Daphne. She feels very much like a modern day Daphne, rest in peace. And she's great. I don't know if that'll translate to the main roster and she'll win a main world women's title. Probably not. I think max she would win a mid-card belt, if anything, just because the division is so deep. But yeah, I'm a big Tatum Paxley fan. Worst interview that wasn't Bubba. Yeah, when I talked to Bubba last year, I was not a fan. I mentioned that at the time. He just gave me such asshole vibes, whether he was trying to big league me. And the interview was fine, but I just was not a fan of it. My interview with Matt Taven got not derailed, but I didn't love it because, the conversation itself was fine, but he was kind of being passive aggressive at certain points. And I think he was trying to make it personal. It was very fucking weird because I had known him previously too. So he knows who I am. But I think he was offended by something I had said. Maybe he was just in character. I don't fucking know. It was really weird. That was about 5 years ago. That wasn't a great interview. I did an interview with Braun. I've interviewed Braun Breaker a bunch. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes he just doesn't give a fuck. And it's not just me. There are stories that people like Sean Ross Sapp has said and Denise Salcedo about over Mania weekend. Over SummerSlam weekend this past year, he was also fucking comatose. But we interviewed Braun Breaker over Mania weekend in 2022 in Texas. He gave almost nothing. That interview is up here on the channel, I think. He was just so fucking, he gave nothing. He would ask a question, he would give you one-word answers. It was awful. And I thought it was just me, but everyone ended up saying the same thing. It was he didn't have his coffee today, or that day. And he's almost like this. It's almost like the same thing. It's almost like the same. He was almost like the same way when I talked to him over SummerSlam last year. That interview was not up here on the channel. I will upload it at some point. I know I'm super like just delayed on that sort of shit. I got to get back to doing it, but yeah. Those are the three that stand out. Bubba Ray, not like the worst ever, but that was probably the best of the three. Matt Taven was just fucking awkward at certain points. And Braun Breaker from 2022. There are other ones that I did not like. I thought just did not go as well as they wanted to, or were just a fucking mess. Those are the main ones I thought that were my worst, so to speak. I actually interviewed what's his name? I came across poorly myself, I thought, but I interviewed Brian Gewirtz and Danny Garcia for Young Rock many years ago. I don't think I ever published that one, like the video of it, but I was just nervous and I was off my game. I didn't like the way that interview went either. Did you know there's a Back to the Future musical happening soon? Happening soon? It's already happening. It's been on Broadway for a while. It started over in the UK. They brought it over to New York years ago. And Alexis and I wanted to see it for a long time. We finally saw it 2 years ago. It was awesome. Loved it. I bought a shirt from it. I got a bag from it. Alexis got a poster from it. I think she got a shirt too. It was incredible. It's one of my favorite movies. As my favorite movie of all time. I had to go see it, and I think it might still be there. And they ended up traveling with it, and they brought it to Connecticut at one point. I've only seen it once, but it was a lot of fun. We went there for an anniversary gift a few years ago for the two of us, and it was great. We went over her birthday weekend. Yeah, Matt Taven, exactly. The original animated movie, and did you want a picture of the Blu-ray or the edit they made? Oh, okay, the Lilo and Stitch one? Both. Send me both of those pictures, Grunt, of the Blu-ray and the edit they made. I would love to see it. Richie said, trust me, you're not that guy, pal. Yeah, that's a great meme. Worst interview, Bully, Matt Taven, or Braun Breaker? Of those three, probably Breaker because he gave nothing. The Matt Taven interview was just fucking awkward. And Bully Ray, we had a decent conversation. Braun Breaker was, he just gave nothing. I don't know if that's the worst interview I've ever done. I'd have to really look through all the interviews I've done, but that's the main one that comes to mind. Braun's brain was probably scrambled in all fairness from the way he was moving in the ring. Yeah, he was doing dumb shit even then. I love Breaker, but he takes too many risks. I've said that a lot. Comatose is hilarious. Yeah, he was acting that way. He was like fucking comatose during the interview. It was crazy. You can go back and check it out here on the channel. I might have to share it. Those are definitely the worst. I have to put this up at some point. But you know, one of my favorite interviews I ever did was with Danhausen, actually. Before he signed with AEW, I have to share it again here on the channel for anyone that wants to watch it. But I interviewed Danhausen before I went to AEW about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was so fucking funny. He was amazing. I got a lot of great feedback on that article, too. Danhausen is one of my favorites. One of the favorites I've done. Stone Cold as well. Fernando said, if you had the DeLorean for a day, what historical event would you go back and experience live? Whew, that's a good question. Experience, not stop. If you're saying stop, we'd have to go back and stop like 9/11 or something. If you're saying just to experience live, Money in the Bank 2011, I know that's a wrestling thing, but to be in that building for that show would be incredible. I've been rewatching The Last Dance. To be there for any Bulls game during that 98 season would be amazing. I mean, just to be there for any Bulls game would have been crazy. So those two things stand out. I don't know, man. What else? What else would have been cool to experience? Y2K, maybe, just to laugh in people's faces when nothing happened. I don't know. Maybe stuff to revisit, in my own life to experience again would be cool. To do that, so I think that would be fun. Maybe even more so than experiencing an event for the first time. But I don't know. I guess it depends on the day. Let me say this. I love Tatum. I was just thinking, Eric said. Eric was just, he didn't want to have Tatum get punted. He doesn't want Tatum to get punted. He's just saying he loves Tatum so much. He thinks that it would get Randy booed if she did get punted. I could see that. And then Grunt said, have any interest in the Clayface horror movie in the fall? I do, Grunt. I do. I am on board with whatever the fuck until I have reason to believe otherwise. I am completely on board with whatever James Gunn does with the DCU. I'm excited for Supergirl. I thought Superman was great. I love Peacemaker. The last episode of the second season was kind of suspect, but overall the show is great. I'm looking forward to Clayface. If it comes out of the DCU and it's canon and it has his fingerprints on it, I am excited. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the Lantern show too, whenever that comes out, the summer or something like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Clayface. I have seen nothing else really about it as far as like a trailer because it comes out in like October, but that's a great October horror movie. I am excited for that, to answer your question. All right, guys, we'll start to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know we started slow, ended up coming back with a lot of great questions. Thank you guys for joining us. Always a great time. I always appreciate your support. You guys make the show possible. If you're wondering why I didn't do the scheduled questions, I already did at the start of the video, so go back and check that out. Let me go through the shout-outs real quick before we end with your final comments in the chat. But want to shout out the channel members: Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon, DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, Daniel, Malcolm, at Quarter on X, DJ Swerve1, at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau, at RJ_Marceau on X, John Ritland, Real Honesty with John Ritland right here on YouTube, Richie, who's there in the chat, Red Planet Wrestling on YouTube, and Average Grunt as well, who is also there in the chat, at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. More information and how to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member down below in the description box. If you want to send in a question to the show for next week's episode, tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video after the video is done processing, and we'll include your question in next week's edition. Be sure to like this video if you haven't already. Always appreciate the support. Drop a comment, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications to be notified every time we upload new content and every time we go live here on the channel. Typically Tuesdays and Thursdays, but maybe next Wednesday, April 1st, with a WrestleMania 17 watch-along on the exact 25-year anniversary of the event. We might be going live next Wednesday for a WrestleMania 17 anniversary watch-along. I'll mention it again before then, but if you guys want to join us for that, we might be doing that next Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. Until then, though, we'll be live next time on Thursday for WrestleRant Radio with myself and Mr. Marceau. Bring your Bon Quivy questions and everything else. We have a lot to talk about on Thursday here in the show, on the show. Grunt said, well, Fernando said first, if you had the book a few months before Mania, do you still book Roman versus Punk, or do you book Cody versus Punk instead? I would book Cody versus Punk. I would have done Roman and Breaker, but Breaker is hurt, so I don't know how that would have worked. I don't know. I mean, honestly, given the injuries and shit, they probably did the right thing. I would have done Punk and Cody. I just don't know what you do with Roman if Breaker's out and Rollins is out, because those would have been his two likeliest opponents. And then does Orton end up on the show? They probably made the right choice, honestly. Grunt said, I'd love to go back and experience life in 92 since I was still too young to take it into the time, being an infant in all. I would love to go back and experience the 80s. I wasn't alive at all at that point, so that would have been fun. Thank you, Grunt, saying fun stream as always. Appreciate you, brother. Fernando said, see you in RJ on Thursday. We will see you then, Fernando. Thank you for that. Grunt said, see you on Thursday if I wake up in time. No worries. I don't know when we're going live. It could be first thing on Thursday morning as it was last week. It could be around noon Eastern time again. Just kind of depends on the schedules, so keep an eye out for that. One like equals one less new era. You heard Richie. You heard Bon Quivy as well. One like equals one less new era. If you don't like the video, we're getting a fucking new era next week here on the show, and you don't want that. Grunt said, hell yeah, WrestleMania 17 watch along. Absolutely. And he also said Roman versus Gunther. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that, but what would the story be? For the belt? If this is for the belt, then maybe, but Gunther would have to be champion. Roman, please do not make him the fucking defending champion. No thanks. Do not put the belt back on Roman at all. Roman and Gunther could have worked. Yeah, I don't know. Roman and Gunther, maybe. Roman, Gunther, Cody, Punk. What does Orton do? Maybe he's already a heel and feuding with Fatu. That could work. Drew is kind of the odd man out, but whatever. Yeah, I think that could have worked, but I think what we ended up with is probably decent. They just got to make the most of what they have, even with all the people injured that are currently out hurt. They just got to make the most of it and move on and hopefully have a great show. But anyway, speaking of great show, guys, thank you again, as always, for the love. Very much appreciate it. We'll see you guys on Thursdays for WrestleRant Radio. Until then, guys, I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll catch your ass down the road.